You don't have to adjust your television set. The Florida AFL-CIO Legislative Update is back. Now,
in living color.
Get the family together, grab some snacks, and get ready for week 3 of the Legislative Update. I Dream of Tallahassee. The legislature wasted no time in getting up to their usual hijinks, hearing legislation that would cut our public sector workers' wages and roll back the rights of local governments. House Bill 943 would prevent local governments from raising wages above the minimum wage for workers providing essential services.
Residents employed through county contracts make decent wages. They also have access to health insurance, and we'd like it to stay that way.
It's not lost upon me that the voters just recently approved an amendment to increase the wage, the minimum wage, from where it is in Florida to up to 15% carried over a number of years. And I bring that to the forefront because the reason they had to do that is because this legislative body, as dominated as it is right now, would not entertain increasing the state minimum wage. This bill directly undermines the will of the voters.
HB 943 passed the Local Administration and Veterans Affairs Subcommittee 10-7.
Angel food cake coming up.
I think your angel food cake went to the devil.
Sometimes a bad joke just won't end. With Senate Bill 1124, the counterpart to HB 943, being heard this week.
There are big contractors who don't like that if they want to get this work, they're going to have to pay higher wages. So they're trying to get the legislature to undo what has happened in these local communities. So I urge you, leave local government to make their own decisions. We know what we're doing. We know each other, we live with each other, and we work with each other. So let us make our own decision.
A decent job, they make $17 an hour, they've managed to take out their first mortgage based on that salary. This bill could change their salary overnight. What happens to their mortgage? I think that we should listen to the experts.
Luckily, the bill was postponed after heated debate.
I don't want it, do you? Cheers. On the first card?
Savvy viewers will remember Senate Bill 520, a blatant attempt to block Floridians from being involved in the process of choosing college and university presidents.
To put it simply, this bill will not help Floridians. It would really just help the powerful, because even if there's 21 days to give time to consider the finalists, it doesn't really make a difference if those finalists were handpicked by those with a thumb on the scale.
What this legislation is going to do is handicap future leaders. Because if the faculty, if the parents, if the students, if the staff, if they think that there's any impropriety or political patronage or cronyism, that leader will not be able to lead. You are handicapping all future presidents if you pass this legislation.
The outlook for public access isn't sunny, as SB 520 passed the Rules Committee 12-5.
Are you feeling better, Master? Is that better, Master?
Can you see me now, Tony?
As a Floridian, you have a right to decide whether you join a union or not. House Bill 1197 says otherwise. If passed, this bill would drown the unionization process in red tape. More than 50 working people spoke out against this attack on our rights.
My colleagues ask is that you do not take away my freedom, my colleagues' freedom, and the freedom to advocate for my students.
I am a teacher of 15 years, and I'm married to a police officer. I just want to mention that
I receive the FOP magazine in my household every month. And for anyone to think that the FOP doesn't do any political work that a teachers union does is not a correct statement. Also, this feels like a punishment. This feels like a burden to me as the teacher, as the worker. It feels like you value what my husband does more than what I do. And that, to me, is not why I elected you here. So please oppose this bill.
If it sounds like a union-busting bill, if it acts like a union-busting bill, and if it union busts like a union-busting bill, it's a union-busting bill.
We do make policy decisions every day, and we have to be conscious of those decisions that we're making and how we're impacting people and how we're impacting workers. And it's very disconcerting to me that we have this bill that really, to me, it frames that we just don't appreciate workers, or we only appreciate a certain type of worker.
SB 1197 passed the Government Operations Subcommittee 10-7.
I want to spend it to make people happy.
Well, that's a very noble sentiment, very warm and generous, but stupid.
One of the most onerous recurring characters this season, SB 620, would allow businesses to sue communities and taxpayers over ordinances they believe hurt their profits, taking away power from our locally elected officials.
The truth is, if cities and counties are sued in order to pay claims for damages, it is not likely they have private banking accounts to pay these claims. Their money comes from the one source, the taxpayers. It would be more appropriate to call this bill the Right to Sue the Taxpayer Act.
SB 620 was passed in the Senate 22-14.
Little buddy, I want to compliment you.
Thanks, Skipper.
You've really done a fine job. Put her there, pal.
In a very special episode this week, the attacks on local governments rolled on with SB 280, which would actively encourage businesses to take legal action against moves by local governments they don't like.
We're not a supreme being. We are elected and placed here to enact laws that affect this state. But our local mayors and city and county council people, commission members, they're elected to do that as well. And I just don't think it's right that when businesses or groups maybe can't be successful at the local level, that they run to us for relief.
SB 280 passed the Senate 28-8.
I have yet to see a table lighter that works. Just once, I would like to see...
While the legislature may still be up to their old goofs and gags, members of the Working Families Lobby Corps are fighting back against the attacks on working people amongst this legislative farce.
Hi, I'm Sandra Maldonado Ross, and I am a Seminole County educator and teacher for 25 years, and I represent Seminole Education Association teachers as well as the Republican Educators Cadre for Florida Education Association. And I'm here because it's important to speak up to your legislators of what's important for you and what matters. And if you're not here making a voice matter, then you're not really making a difference at the level you need to make a difference in.
Hi, I'm Antonio White, First Vice President of the United Teachers of Dade, and I'm here to advocate to turn advocacy into activism. Because if you don't stand up for yourself, who else will? I often say if you're not at the table, you're probably on the menu. And in this case, we need your bodies here to help push the legislature's agenda here in Tallahassee. Thank you.
We'll see you next week for the Florida AFL-CIO Legislative Update. Same time, same channel.